Welcome into the Sports Objective. 50 Pirates in 50 days. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a big time one here tonight. Very excited. During the 1990s, I think is one of the best times. I would argue it's my favorite time of Pirate football because obviously that's when I went to school at East Carolina. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, enough about myself, Dave Richmond. Bubba Rosenbaum, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Dave. How are you?
Good. I tell you what, man, this is one of my favorites in the 90s, and you got him on. You outdid yourself once again, Bubba.
Yeah, we had it worked out a couple summers ago, but something
Yeah.
came up. We had a scheduling conflict and weren't able to make it happen then. But I'm very excited to have another wide receiver. And like you said, from the mid 90s, 92 to 96, Mitchell Galloway. Mitch, welcome in.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. It's an honor just to be in you guys' presence. Thank you so much.
Hey, Mitchell, you're bringing back a lot of memories. I was telling Bubba that about where he sits now. It was the student section back in the day when you were playing in sections 16 to 18. I'm so old we didn't even have a boneyard, Bubba. We had that old scoreboard near Elmhurst from that 1978 scoreboard we had in the other end. But I tell you what, Mitchell, we put a lot of points on that scoreboard, didn't we?
Lit it up very nicely. Yes, sir.
It was a great time because I'll tell you one thing. After a big Pirate victory, you go downtown Greenville and have a good time after the game too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The win
Let's
always
talk.
made it fun.
Yeah, we did. And Coach Logan, we'll talk about a lot of great things. I want to ask you out of the gate before we get talking about your career and obviously how you became a Pirate, how you been doing with the COVID situation. I know a lot of people have had a tough time, and those of us that are very active people, and I know that you're coaching or maybe coaching, and I know it's got to be tough. Kind of like, I hate to use the term, it's no pun intended, but we're kind of like, it feels like our life is we're sitting on the sidelines right now, and I'm ready to play.
Absolutely. Like you say, it was a big adjustment, a huge adjustment for me and my wife, and for the most part, we just stayed inside for the most as best we could until you had to go out and get your necessities and so forth. But like you say, you just kind of get tired of staying in the house and getting on the sidelines. We got out to walk and jog and run those different things and so forth. But yeah, we're just praying that there's a turnaround and we can open it back up the country as best we can and get back to some good old football and coaching and just inspiring young people and young kids to be better and be great.
And Mitchell, by the way, before I forget, Bubba, I know that you wanted to mention it. Speaking of COVID-19, very sad to learn about Mac Bear Hodges, the longtime mayor of Washington, passed away due to COVID-19. And I just want to say publicly, I know he was gave a lot of time and effort and all that to the town of Washington, and not too far from Greenville. So we're really upset about that and the loss of him. And our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and obviously the folks of Washington. I have friends that live in Washington. I know he's done a good job as a mayor and obviously big supporter of the Pirates. So we lost a Pirate tonight, and definitely want to honor him and be thinking about him during this time.
Yeah, Mac is someone I didn't know him personally, but saw him all the time, whether it was at Dowdy Ficklen Stadium or out in the jungle. He was one of the Pirate fans that certainly frequented what is called the Jungle Bar and Grill out in center field at Clark LeClaire Stadium, and saw him there on a regular basis for sure. And if the Pirates were playing, he was typically there. And like you said, he goes or went by the name Bear. That's what everybody knew him as. I didn't know his real name, Mac Hodges, until later on. But yeah, just a terrible situation, obviously, and thoughts and prayers to him and his family.
No doubt about it. In other news, Mitchell, today that we learned in North Carolina, the North Carolina High School Athletic Association announced, get this, I want to get your thoughts on this, being a former player, high school, college, now high school coach. So the good news is they worked really hard with the I know coaches. They made the decision today. They're postponing the season. The number of games is shortened from it's going to be February to April. So I know that you're in Georgia, but how would you feel about that? Having that, you're training. I guess what you have to do, Bubba, is you're still going to be training, getting in shape. So you'll still be doing that. The question, though, for me, though, that comes to mind, Mitchell, is the very fact that those of us that are like, for me, I'm in Williamston, North Carolina, Riverside High we're a 1A school. When you're in a 1A school, a rural area, every kid, every as many kids as possible have to play sports. I mean, they field a lot of sports in Williamston at Riverside High, and a lot of those guys are playing like 3 sports, right? So, I mean, you could potentially have. I was thinking about that at lunchtime, right after lunch when they made the announcement. You could have guys playing football, basketball, baseball at the same. Can you do that at the same time? Is that possible? I don't know, but that came to mind.
Well, I'll explain it like this.
Okay.
They're a whole lot younger than we are now. It is going to make it a little tougher for those schools, like you say, 1A and 2A, because they don't have the bodies to fill those positions and so forth in all those sports. However, I think that if they can schedule it properly and correctly, they should have a good chance to do some things. Now, it's going to be tough because a lot of times I think track is around that season as well.
Right,
track body is a little bit different. Yeah. Track is a little bit different from the football body. But at the same point in time, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. But I think that with all the brilliant minds and all the smart people that we have in this world, I think they can come up with something, come up with some type of idea and some type of plan to get everything rolling.
The good news is we'll have her back on. Q Tucker. We'll try to get her back for the commissioner of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. The good news is, I will say, Mitchell, is the fact it does give us enough time for those of us high school football coaches. It gives you have a definite, it's going to be the window of February to April. So all the question marks, all the unknowns, we don't have to worry about that in North Carolina. And Bubba, I know you've coached a lot, and Mitchell now what are the we have our good friend Terry Gallagher that's now in North Carolina from the Pat Dyer. He was in Central Georgia, but now he's making his home in there in New Hanover County in Wilmington, downtown Wilmington. But have they made decisions in Georgia yet? I haven't heard anything. I know we would probably heard something from him by now, but as far as coaching or playing, are you guys as scheduled, or how is that going?
To my knowledge, everything is still scheduled to go. Of course, it's still up in the air day by day. But I can tell you that from the coaching staff that I've met with today, because this is my first day going back today, they're telling all the kids, look, if we do not have football this fall, this is the great opportunity for you guys to go ahead and focus and buckle down on your academics. And, of course, with a lot of things going on with football and in any sport that you're involved in, it takes a lot out of you physically. So they're telling the kids and trying to keep them up to date on everything as best they can, but really, really emphasizing that section of it. Of course, you're going to train, but they're really, really talking about academics and buckling down and get things squared away. Yes, sir.
Well, that's good to know.
Another thing, guys, as far as this dynamic with, at least in North Carolina, with the season being February to April, is you've had that increasing trend over the last decade or so of guys enrolling mid-year at their FBS or SCS programs, especially. And so, how many guys are you going to have be mid-year enrollees? So you're going to have potentially some depleted rosters.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. I think that it's once again it's something that we've never seen before, something that we've never done before, ever experienced. So, but we do have a lot of intelligent people in this world, especially in this United States. So it's just going to be the coming of the minds, coming together and trying to figure this thing out to make sure that everybody has their eligibility, they're not left out. Of course, there's going to be some cracks. There's going to be some athletes to fall through the holes and so forth. But at the same point in time, we want to save as many of those academic athletes as possible and keep moving forward.
And Mitchell, I was just thinking about want to give a shout out to there's Shane McPherson right there. Georgia's scheduled to start on September 4th. So give a shout out to him. Thanks, Shane. Appreciate you, man, for watching tonight. A great guy, Mitchell Galloway. We're so excited to have you on. And the very fact that I was thinking about Mitch just a little bit ago, Bubba, we were going to have a press conference with Coach Mike Houston, and they had lightning, unfortunately. And so they didn't want to keep the media waiting around on a Zoom call. So we have that again tomorrow night. So we'll let fans know we should have that sometime tomorrow. We'll let we'll actually on social media let everybody know the time when we know. But anyway, my point that I was thinking about when we were getting ready for the press conference is, what do you do about recruiting right now when you have a situation in North Carolina? Do you take a chance on a kid? Would you take a chance on a kid if you haven't seen him, under the lights, the Friday night lights? You have to maybe, as far as, I was thinking about guys about the signing day that they've had in December. I mean, when do you have signing day? Do you push it back to April or May? I mean, there's a lot of questions that have popped in my head, and I probably should stop thinking right now.
Well, Dave, I mean, recruiting is earlier and earlier all the time, and really, and with that early signing date, a lot of these commitments. I mean, last year we signed a full class at 25, and the
We've
majority of
already
those
got most of that
commitments,
now.
if not all of those commitments, were before that NC State or Gardner Webb game. And then this year, we were taking about 15, give or take, and we already have
Right.
10 commitments. So it's really probably not going to be as much of an issue. Guys are getting those offers and committing prior to their senior season on the field anyway.
And the one good thing, Mitchell, that I'm very happy about, bringing up the 90s again, we'll talk about your career in just a second, was how many wins. But you guys had a lot of great athletes. One thing Coach Houston said that I loved about, one of the only good things about this time period, we were very sad again about losing Mayor from Washington, Mac Hodges, Bear, a great Pirate. But the one good thing is, as far as evaluating talent, they've had a lot of time to really look over the film over and over again. And maybe you won't have those misses or guys that you probably think that are, they always have. And unfortunately, the era we live in, the guys are overhyped, I think, a lot of times. And I don't care about 2 stars, 5 stars. It's what are you going to do on the field for the Pirates? You could be the best athlete in whatever state and come to North Carolina, to Greenville, and be the worst athlete we've ever had. We've had some guys that we won't put names out there, but we thought that would be NFL talent, and they didn't, because of off the field stuff, they didn't make it. So, and they were big time talent. They could get on anywhere, stayed home, came to Pirate Nation to Greenville. But things like that happen. So I don't care about 2 stars or 5 stars. I care about what they mean to the program and to be the right fit. And you actually, nice segue. You are a nice fit for the Pirates. Can you talk about your recruiting and how you became a Pirate?
Sure, absolutely. At that time, of course, back in 1990 to 91, 92, I was very small, very small. I would say I was probably 135 pounds in high school. And I was at running back. But my high school coach at that time, Reed Sharpie, he said, and Rusty Sharpie, his son, he said, look, the best opportunity for you to get in college is to move to wide receiver. So I made that transition. Well, make a long story short, Dale Steele, Kevin Steele's brother, is from the Dillon area, South Carolina area, noticed me playing a couple of games. And, of course, Dillon was one of our rivals. And he noticed the game. He says, look, I don't know if the kid can play for us in Greenville at the time, but he's fast, and we can work with him. He wants to win. He likes to win. He's very competitive. And from that standpoint, I only had like 3 schools that were interested in me at the time. It was East Carolina, Naval Academy, and Citadel. Those were the only 3 schools that were interested in me at the time.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Had all the grades, of course, to get in Naval Academy and so forth. And that was going to be my choice at the time. But East Carolina kind of came in, not going to say at the last minute, but they kind of came in at the last minute. And my dad was like, look, it's closer. That's where we're going. And that you don't have no decision in that. So we made our trek up to Greenville, and he loved it. They showered him. They didn't shower me. And he just fell in love with the place. And the rest of it is pretty much history from that standpoint. But I have to give Dale Steele a lot of credit, because he really stuck his neck out for me, especially me being as small as I was. But it brings me to a point, and I don't want to talk too much, but it brings me to a point where you said the mentality. They wanted to know, what are you willing to do to win? Do you want to win? Are you willing to put in the work to win? We can get all the other specifics out the way. We'll help you win. We'll build you a better player, but you have to have the mentality and the heart to want to win. And that's what I think brought all of us together at that time, because we were a bunch of misfits. It was a bunch of I ain't gonna say nobodies, but nobody really wanted us at that Division I level from that standpoint. So Coach Logan and his staff, they brought in, and they did a good job of trying to recruit those guys that had the mentality and the heart that wanted to win and wanted to get better each and every day. And that's what I'm thankful for from that standpoint.
You speaking of Hart, how about like the Hart twins? I mean, I could start naming off all the guys from your time. Oh my goodness. So you want to talk about winners? They're still winners today. You're one of them. I mean, there's so many guys out there. And that's one thing that I'm really happy with Coach Houston. I don't know how much you follow him or how close you follow the program, but the guy is a winner. And I really believe that we're going to see heights maybe that we've never seen before at ECU. That's how confident I am of him, the coaching staff. The practices are way different. It's more old school like you're used to, Mitchell. You know, they're not a fun day in the park like before. I'll just say I'll put it like that. It's a real football practice now. And you know, I'm like, wow, man, it's tough. And they're out there getting it. And I think these guys, I really believe this year or next year is when you'll see us turn the corner. And they're very hungry right now. That's the one thing that I've noticed. Bubba, I don't know if you've noticed, but this team last year showed us some bright spots. But I think this team is really hungry now that we're going to have the second year under Mike Houston. You have Big John, and they're in the weight room that's really working them hard, and he's got them fired up. And you never know. If these teams take this crew, they've got a lot of talent. They might be young as far as experience, but if they take some of these guys for granted, we might sneak up on some guys, some teams this year.
And Mitch, one of the things I wanted to go back to is you mentioned the mentality, that blue collar approach, the chip on the shoulder mentality, just that willingness to do whatever needs to be done to get the job done. So I just wanted to you talk about some of the hard work that you guys put in. We've talked about it with some of your teammates and guys from other areas that worked out under Jeff Connors, guys like EMAC, and just talking about running the 300s and the 110. And so, like you guys, like you said, y'all were already super motivated to prove others wrong for not giving you guys a chance and offering you scholarships. And then that was founded or motivated you to work hard to do all those things in the weight room and run. So just talk about what it was like this summer and all seasons under Coach Hunter.
Oh, definitely. And I'm going to kind of paint a little picture here. My suite, and when we first got there as freshmen, were the Hart twins, Mark Crandell, E.J. Gunthorpe, Sean Richardson, God bless his soul, Morris Foreman, and of course Alan Williams at that time. So we all came in. Morris was a little bit older, but we came in kind of trying to learn each other, and everybody was like, I was almost the same height as all of them. So that kind of made me feel a little better. But you're right. The whole mentality with the gassers, Coach Connors always preached 5 quarters, always. Now, that was his thing. If he saw you even showing any type of weakness, he would get on you. And you did not want to go through any one of Coach Connors or Connors' regimes or any type of deal where he had you running, lifting, or anything. If you had to go to Connors, you were going to work. Back then, we had what we call red shirt. That means that you were injured. Red shirt now is, of course, it has a lot of different meanings. But if you had a red shirt on, you were injured. That means you had to report to Coach Connors. You did not want to be hurt. You did not want to be in that tub because Coach Connors was going to hurt you, and he's going to make sure that he worked you. He would work you as hard as he could, as long as he could, as long as those whistles were still blowing. So it was a good thing. I think that, like I said, I came there 135 pounds. I left there 185. So I gained 50 pounds over my career at that time. I was a different man. I tell everybody this to this day. Coach Connors and that staff made us into machines. I mean, we could literally run all day. 300s, if I was to give that to a kid today, they would look at me crazy, very crazy. But he made us think that we could do it, and he took our minds and our mentality to another level. And from that standpoint, we are, as athletes, are grateful to him and the coaching staff for allowing him to take us there. And it was a blessing. It was a blessing that we all kind of came together and it was a blessing that we all kind of came there in Greenville, North Carolina.
And Mitchell, you had the fact where you were.
And Mitch, just to clarify, sorry, Dave, I had a lag there. I was just a follow-up question on the 300 for our viewers and listeners, Mitch, and just tell them that you essentially ran the perimeter of the football field, correct?
Correct. That is
or
correct.
Did you guys run them on the track?
Well, it all depends. The field was wet. Of course, we ran on the track. However, you're looking at the perimeter of the football field, and you're looking at, if you imagine running the football field in 55 seconds. Of course, you probably already heard this. You run in 55 seconds, you come back, you have a 30-second rest. Beep, whistle blows, 55 seconds. Come back, 30 seconds rest. So you're actually running longer than your rest time. And of course, we had to make 10 of them. And I always joke about this because we were so conditioned at one point that we ran 12, 13, 14. Coach Collins had to stop us from running because we just wanted to keep going. We wanted to show him how much he had trained us to make us so much better. And he, like I said, he just made us into what I consider to be a machine. And it was just an awesome thing, mixed with our athletic field house and the training staff and all these kind of different things, nutrition. It was just, like I said, it just all kind of came together, and it just made us just a whole lot better person, better team. And we were just thankful to just have some great moments at Greenville, North Carolina.
You know, Mitchell, what I was going to, that's a nice seg there, Bubba, for me. What I was going to talk about is the very fact with that conditioning was so great. I love Coach Connors. Obviously, he's a strength and conditioning coach. You know, the coaches that were there when I was a student are always going to, and I'm a sentimental guy. But anyway, that time period with you guys, the conditioning you had the coaching staff, you're talking about the athletic trainers. It was like, speaking of, it was like a well-oiled machine for the program, because you look at it, you guys had a lot of talent, and those people that were dumb enough to pass on you, that's great for us, though, because we had a lot of victories with you guys. And then you had a chance to, some of those schools that passed up on you, you had a chance to beat them. And I think one of the reasons that you had the edge on those guys is that they had the talent, but I don't think they had the conditioning to hang with you guys. The fourth quarter, when a lot of teams, to me, back in that time period, I could speak for, you could see those guys, and I remember being in games at the stadium like I was talking about as a student, and you see those guys, and they were gasping for air. I don't know how it was on the field, but it seemed like from afar watching the game, I wasn't playing the game, obviously, but it looked like those guys were dying out there, and you guys looked like that you were in the first quarter. Is that fair? I mean, that's the way it felt like. I don't know.
Oh, that's a fair assessment. As a matter of fact, that's an excellent assessment. I can tell you, I'm just gonna give you one, or I can tell you a couple of different things. But I remember when we went down to Miami to play them, and of course nobody gave us a chance to beat those guys. And of course our coaching staff knew. They knew that, and Coach Connors, he still explains it to this day. Guys, they're going to get tired the first quarter. Only thing you guys got to do is weather the storm, and we will be in this game, and we're going to shock the world. That was his exact words. And you can see, of course, they scored just like right off the bat. And, you know, there were a few heads that hung, but there wasn't many. There wasn't many, because we knew that over time they were going to wear down, and we were going to keep going, and we're going to keep building momentum. And that's exactly what happened. After the first quarter, they were done. They were gassed. They were gassed. And we were still running. And I'll be honest, we were talking smack. We were just having fun and talking smack and just having a good time. And we shocked the world in a lot of people's eyes. But in our eyes, we knew going into that game, we had better speed in our skill positions, and we had more heart, and we had the desire to win. And that's what we had.
Hey, Mitchell, I remember I was DJing at the club, the Sports Pad, at that time, where I would have been there at the airport, and I had people that came that were there at the airport, and they came to me and they told me about it. But there's the guy that's up on their screen there lives in the western part of the state, and he and his mom and dad, they all drove from the western part of the state all the way to the airport to be with you guys. I mean, that's how great. If anybody ever talks about Pirate Nation being bad and we don't have the fans, That's how great our fans. We got people that drove a few hours all the way to the airport to cheer you guys on and to welcome you back. That's how great that guy is up there on the screen.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was obviously a 7 or 7:30 kickoff. It's a primetime game on ESPN, and Ron Franklin and Mike Gottfried on the call. And like you said, Dave, as soon as it was clear we had it locked there at 31-6, midway fourth quarter or whatever, my dad and my mom were just looking at each other, and my dad said, "You want to go?" And he said, "We'll go." And so we hopped in the car. We made it into Greenville, so fired up. And this was prior to all the bypasses that you have now, where you can go around Nightdale, go around Wilson, and so you're having to go through all those little communities, or towns. But it was, I guess 1 o'clock in the morning. We got there about 2:15, right before the guys got there. You had a member or two of the Marching Pirates playing the fight song, and the airport was packed that night.
An awesome scene. It's one of those things where you don't really expect that, but you learn to appreciate it. And that was an awesome scene for us to come back and be welcomed like that, because that really showed. I mean, like you say, 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was packed. Pitt Greenville was packed, and it was just as loud as you could be in a stadium or whatever the case may be. And that was truly a gift to our players.
And Mitchell, by the way, hey Bubba, I was going to say this real fast. The '99 game, the Floyd Bowl, I call it, when we played Miami and Raleigh. I'll never forget. We were in a store. And these Miami fans, there's 4 Miami fans, and it was me and some friends that obviously had the purple and gold on, right? And they started talking all kinds of trash, how they were going to beat us. And I looked at them. You know how I got them quiet? I looked at them and I said 31-6, 31-6, baby. Just remember that. I sure did. I normally don't talk trash, but you don't talk about my Pirates like that, especially when we put a whooping on you in your home stadium. And me and Bubba, Kyle, there's probably only a few people that really believed that you guys could win. And the Arnie Spaniard we've had on the show, we'll have to get him back on. He actually bet a producer a car that he said the Pirates are going to go down there and they're going to beat the Hurricanes in the Orange Bowl, and the guy bet him his car, and we had a promotion for it and everything. But he was big on you guys back in the 90s back in the day on 98.3. WCZI was the Talk FM, and we had one-on-one sports with him back in the day. But I tell you what, that was a great season, and you guys are always so special to me because, I mean, you look at it from 91 when you have right before you guys. I was going to ask you that, Mitchell, did winning the Peach Bowl, did that bring a lot of you guys in? There are a lot of the talented guys that we had right after that?
I would say probably brought in probably half of us. I can tell you I was already committed to come to East Carolina. Just winning the Peach Bowl, just icing on the cake. It told me that this is the place I want to be, somebody where they didn't quit. When I watched the game, I never turn off a game because I already know what to kind of expect. I just want to watch the mentality of the players and how things are going to go. At that time, I was just looking, okay, if they can just score here, they'll have a chance. Onside kick, if they can just score here. But lo and behold, there was a score, there was a stop. Score, turnover, stop. And then we had a chance to win. And that's what you want. You always tell your players, always play to the last whistle. And that's the thing that embodied that pirate spirit, that pirate nation. Look, you might beat me, but you're going to have a fight to the end. And that's what we did. We fought to the end, and like I said, it was truly a gift and a blessing for us.
And Mitch, like you said, you were on the smaller side coming out of high school, so you saw a guy like Deion Johnson who had come in from junior college on the previous year in 90 and 91. He really made an impact, especially in the return game, punt and kickoff.
Absolutely. I can tell you that as I was being recruited, Coach Steele, he says, look, I want you to look. I like to say Deion was 27 at the time. He said, I want you to look at this guy and you watch him. This is going to be your position. this is everywhere you see him line up, that's where you're going to be. Of course, you tell a kid that to get him into your program, but I think Coach Steele was really sold that I could play that position because Dion, like I said, was small as well, but he was lightning quick. I don't think I was as fast as him, but I was okay, and I was just impressed. I mean, he was in the backfield. He was split out. He was returning punts, returning kicks. I was like, if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to have a pretty decent career, I hope. And if I could play well, but it was like I said, it was truly a great thing for me. Yes, sir.
And Dave, I kind of had a question piggybacking off of your question about that Miami game. We'll kind of work in reverse about your career, Mitchell. But in that 96 Miami game, one of our touchdowns that night, Coach Logan, obviously very well known for his high-powered offenses and his just being so innovative on that side of the ball. One of the things I really liked that he would do with you is when he would put you in the backfield and create a mismatch on a linebacker, and he did it that night. And Marcus hit you out the flat, and you scored in the left corner of the end zone. And then also he did the same thing later on that season against NC State.
Correct. I can tell you that I'm not going to say that happened by mistake. I think at that time Harley was having some issues with his I don't know if it's rib, but it was having some issues. So I would just kind of line up in the backfield on scout team and run a lot of little different things and so forth. And not that I made our defense look bad on scout team, but it just kind of made an impression. And Coach Martin at the time, Doug Martin at that time, put me to the side and said, look, we might throw you in the backfield a couple of times. You think you can run it? I said, Coach, I've been a running back all my life. All my life I've been a running back. That never goes away. You put me out at wide receiver just makes it harder for somebody to just guard me in the slot. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you, Coach. So lo and behold, that Miami game, like you say, just different matchups, and I was just the innovative mind, like you said, of Coach Logan and his staff to say, look, the game is all about matchups. The game is all about matchups, and like you say, just the willingness to put things up and make adjustments. And that's what we did best, I feel. We matched up. Even when we were outmatched, we did some things to switch things around and just make it an advantage for us. So it was a good thing. Like I say, he hit me in the flats. A lot of people would say that there was a clip on that play, but it wasn't. But we scored, and that was icing on the cake for us. Yes, sir.
That I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah, I remember the Miami defensive back crying about it.
I can tell you this. As innovative and as great Coach Logan was at that time, I could only imagine us playing in this system of wide open game and whereas it is today, where you're throwing the ball maybe 90% of the game. Most of course, just a little swing pass. But I can only imagine the fun and all the creative stats and all these things that we would have had to just enlighten that Greenville Stadium and just make some noise. That would just we often think about that. We often revisit that and so forth. But I would never trade those 90s for nothing. Because those are the best years of my life.
And Mitchell, the one thing that comes to mind is I tell you, one of the things I love about Logan is the man had more guts and the biggest set of balls. And I usually don't use that term on this podcast, but he actually was. I love the fact that I'm a guy that I love to take chances, especially when you have the confidence. That's one thing that I wanted to ask you about. I love the fact that he had the confidence in you guys that you could pull it off. That says a lot about a coach, that if he gives you the green light, it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and you could have a trick play that, like for your fake field goal or whatever it is. I love that stuff because it's so out of the norm, so way out of the box that nobody's expecting it. That's what makes it work or could potentially work. And the fact that he has you guys like that says these guys can pull this off, this crazy play, they can pull it off. That says a lot about you guys, right?
For sure. I can tell you that, of course, the term that we often call Coach Logan is the riverboat gambler.
Yeah.
And,
I love it.
it was just one of those things where I recall the Southern Mississippi game when, of course, we win, we go to a bowl. I think if we lose, I don't think we go to a bowl. And it was 4th and whatever the case was. And Coach Logan comes to us and look, hey guys, I'm gonna take another timeout. We're gonna fake field goal. Then we're gonna go down there and kick another field goal. And we're gonna win the game. I'm like, huh?
Wow.
Get off the field. And so field goal team comes on. They fake field goal. Of course, pass interference. Scott Richards and Chad Holcomb at that time. Chad from throwing the ball. And 15 yards, move it up, kick the field goal. We win the game. I mean, it was just he made those decisions just that quick, and he had the faith in his mind. So look, it's going to work. You better believe it's going to work. If you don't believe it, get off the field. And that was just his mentality, and that's our mentality. We adopted that mentality, and you go over things so many times enough, you start to believe it. You start to believe, and that was our thing. We believe. I believe. We believe. Coach Logan, if you say it, we believe it, and we're going to make it happen for you.
No doubt.
Dave, we have some comments on Facebook. Norman Quick, who, of course, we had him on the show here in the last couple of weeks. I'm sure, Mitch, Norman, spent some time in the Scotland County area and then also in South Carolina coaching.
Hey, Norman, what's up?
What's up, my pirate brother?
What's going on, Big Norman? Yeah, listen, I still owe that brother some. Kevin Roller, that's high school coach, and not high school coach. I'm sorry, high school quarterback. He and I hooked up a lot of time. Now you talking about somebody that was underrated. He could have went, he reminded me of Marcus Crandell. If you look at all his stats and all the things that he's done, he was a Marcus Crandell in our day. But he was a little slightly shorter than Marcus, but he had an arm. He had an arm, and he had a nice zip to his passes and nice touch. And he and Norman coach at Dillon, South Carolina now, and they often tease because right now Dillon, South Carolina is up, and Marlboro County is kind of down where I went to high school. So they're kind of running things right now, and they often tease and joke with me so much. I see you, Kevin. Good job, brother. Good job.
And that's one of the things that we're talking about postponing the North Carolina season from February to April, like we talked about earlier in the show. That's one of my favorite things about being a coach, coaching for 4 years like I have in the past, and then obviously playing for a lot of different years. I didn't have the talent that you and Bubba did, obviously, but I had the heart, and I love the biggest part about a sport, a team sport, is the camaraderie. You hear about the locker room, you hear about the practices, you hear about, I didn't care. Honestly, there were obviously many times where I was not going to start. I didn't care about all that. I just cared about the bus rides. What hurts is sometimes the day you see this generation we have now that they laugh and joke around, they're getting killed by 40, 50 points. You're like, man, I hate to lose more than anything. Come on, and there would be bus rides where it was like a funeral where you didn't hear anything because we had a big loss for baseball, for example, or different sports. But I love that camaraderie, and it's great that when you see a guy that played high school ball with you, and they are supporting you here on a podcast on Facebook Live. That's good stuff.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
I love it. And I think that, one thing we tell all the former players is that Coach Houston came to a 78 Independence Party we had, and he invited the players back. I would love for a lot of you guys, the Hart twins, Marcus Crandell, a lot of Larry Shannon. I'm not going to stand up here and start naming all the players from that team, but I can. But for the very fact that you guys are winners, that's what I mean. If anybody wants to see a textbook definition of what Pirate football is supposed to be, look at my era. And I'm very proud. I'll put my era up against anybody. You guys made a lot of smiles. There were a lot of us that, we had a lot of great Saturdays. And I was telling Bubba, imagine this, Mitchell. We've had 5 straight losing seasons. There are people that graduated that they never saw a winning season for Pirate football. We got to do better than that.
Definitely, and because we have the talent. We have the resources, and of course we have the facilities now. There's no reason why we can't win ball games. And like you say, with Coach Houston coming in, I think it's going to be a good turnaround, and we're going to get some things going.
I was saying, Mitchell, that I love my era, but I don't want to be that old guy that says, "Oh yeah, we won all these games when I was a student there." I want to create new memories. I'm tired of talking about. I'm happy to talk tonight about it, but I'm just saying that I want to create new memories where we have the 9-10 win football, seasons. I really believe that we are very close to having that again, and all it takes is the strength and conditioning. Big John, man, I tell you what, that guy, I don't even, and Coach C with the back in the day, those guys are mean, they're intense, but that's a good thing because they get you ready in shape. And that's one question that I want to ask you as far as now with fall camp. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out because would you be fearful as a coach and a player that you could potentially hurt yourself if you are training conditioning and you don't have any games and maybe you overdo it? I don't know. I haven't been a player, so that's something I've been worried about here recently. The last few weeks is that those unknowns, and all of a sudden they say, I think Coach Houston said that they would treat it more like a spring practice, fall practice. They would still practice during the times they could, but they would take a day here, a day off. If it was a delay in the season, they would take a day off here and there to try to, I guess, save the bodies or get people healthy.
Right. Well, I have my thing with that is if you look at the average high school athlete, they already play 3 sports. They play fall and, of course, spring. They play football, basketball, and track, winter and spring. So they're already playing. They're already doing things to keep their body conditioned and keep going. So for the most part, if you're just only there for football, and like I say, I think they have enough minds to say, look, we know when to give the bodies a rest, and we know when to push them. Like I said, they're already trained to do 3 sports. They're already trained to go year round, even baseball. They're doing things year round. So the body wants to do things. It needs to be running and physically active and so forth. So I don't think it'd be that much of an adjustment. I just think that, like you say, you just need to know when to kind of pull back, give the body a rest, and then when to gun it and rev up those engines and run that body on through some things. So I think they'll be fine.
Bubba, you're talking about working in reverse.
Yeah, working in reverse. I'm going back to your redshirt sophomore season. And Kelvin made a nice point here, and it's actually what I was going to bring up next. He says, I watched him torch my Gamecocks in Columbia, and the way I was going to get into that is just talking about, you said that the Citadel was about your only opportunity to stay in your home state and play football, but you obviously chose to East Carolina and had that opportunity to go back to Williams-Brice Stadium. And you and Marcus Crandell and company put 56 in the Gamecocks that day in 1994.
That's right. I can tell you that from my high school, you were either a Gamecock fan or you were a Tiger fan. And of course, my initial goal at that time was to go to Clemson for engineering. They had a great engineering program. They probably still do. Was to go there for engineering. But lo and behold, we came back and we played Carolina, and I still remember walking through the gates, and I remember seeing I call him Coach Roller now, Kevin, and they were saying, "Look, just y'all gonna, they didn't say you're gonna lose. We're only rooting for you. We're only rooting for you. As long as you have a good game, we're good." So I still kind of remember them talking about that. What they didn't know was the night before, Coach Logan came into my. This is the team that didn't want you, that said you were too small, that said you were too weak, and that said you were too short. What you gonna do? And it was my birthday on that same Saturday.
Oh
He said, "What you gonna do for your birthday? You gonna come out, or you gonna do fight? What you gonna do?" And that was the night before. Now he woke me up out of my sleep, and said, what are you gonna do? I mean, fired up. I'm like, is this guy crazy or something? But that's what type of person he was. And I like to say pregame. Somebody broke, I'm not sure if it was Coach Connors or Coach Logan, somebody broke a projector, because we had projectors and all these where you can pick them up and things like that, and broke it. And that right there, you didn't have to say anything else. We were ready to play right then. we're ready to play. But yeah, I didn't really torch them. I can say that there were a lot of different things that went on in that game that that made some things look good. I scored 3 times, but that was my worst graded game of that year. I missed a couple of blocks here, missed a couple. I ain't gonna say I missed a couple of routes, but I was kind of off because I was so excited. I was so excited, and I was just kind of running around and doing a lot of different things. But Marcus and myself, like I said, we hooked up a couple of times, and it's almost like sometimes it's almost like a fog. I still have to go back and kind of watch that game a little bit, just to kind of remember some things. But all my Gamecock fans, I am sorry, but at the same point in time, I still love you. And let's go, Pirate Nation.
Hey, speaking of which, Mitchell,
a fake punt and a fake field goal in that game. and then Johnny chimes in saying, "I have the Sunday Morning Columbia paper after that game. The headlines read, 'We have to get them off the schedule.'"
Hey, by the way, Mitchell, that's one of the things I want to talk about. I'm going to have faith, and I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to have faith. The AD, Ray Tanner, who used to be the baseball coach in NC State, says they're coming next year. So remember this, Mitchell, next year they're supposed to come to Greenville. Now in 19, they bought the game, and we had to play Gardner Webb. So I want to say to Gamecock Nation, please, there's nothing wrong with Greenville. We come to y'all all the time. Please come to Greenville. There's nothing wrong with our stadium. We have 51,000 people that are rocking. We love South Carolina. It's a great rivalry. I think it's a great game to play. And, we've been down recently, yes, but we're on the way up. And I will tell you something right now. If you can't get up for a team like South Carolina, something's wrong with you. And I haven't had the pleasure. I know you play there, Mitchell, and I know, Bubba, you've been there to those games, and I've heard that stadium is rocking. I can't wait to have the opportunity to go there myself. But, hey, we'll play you anytime. It's a parking lot. We'll play you, right, Mitchell?
It doesn't matter. We can be in Antarctica. We can be in New Zealand. It doesn't matter where we are. If the ball is down, we're playing. That's just the bottom line. I can tell you that. Columbia, if you come to Greenville, we'll show you a good time before the game.
That's right.
But we can show you a better time after the game. We always have fun.
We'll put a lot of points up. And I'll tell you one thing. I tell you one thing, Mitchell. I'm telling you right now, we're taking our lumps now. But you put it on paper. The 21 class, that 21 season, when you have Holt Naylors as a senior, a lot of seniors there. You got a lot of guys that were freshmen that by that point they'll be juniors. You got a lot of upperclassmen that will have a special time. They played about 3 or 4 years together. I'm telling you, you watch out for that 21 season. It's gonna be special. Just remember, I told you that.
21 season.
Yeah, because you actually are guys I think about a lot that former Pirates have won a lot of games. I got to think that it's got to be really rough on you guys when you see the program to reach the lows of when, like I was telling Bubba, I always bring up the last game of the 2017 season. That Memphis game, it was sickening. And it still hurts me, even though I'm not a player and I didn't play. I'm a Pirate, and we should never look that bad, and where they could have hung 100 on us that day. And I'm not trying to be mean. But that should never, ever, ever, ever happen to the East Carolina Pirates.
Absolutely. I want to hold you to your word. 21 season, the 21. I'm going to hold you to your word. Because I'm always looking at the games. Whenever we're playing, here's the crazy thing about Greenville. It doesn't matter what sport it is. If you went to Greenville, you're watching everything about Greenville and East Carolina. It can be baseball. It can be football, basketball. If we're on, we're cheering. And that's the great thing about our fans. That's the great thing about our alumni. Of course, football is one of the big programs there in baseball. But we're supporting and we're rooting. And that's what I loved about Greenville, because that's what we did. And that's a great feeling. That's a great feeling to have.
No doubt about it. Hey, Bubba, with that very thing with the scheduling, with things are a little crazy right now, but the very fact that, like I was talking about with the 21 season, the class, we have I don't know if you've been back there, Mitchell, but the the Town Bank Tower is absolutely gorgeous over the stadium. With the boneyard with those with the student section of that one in Elmhurst end of the stadium now. I mean, I'm telling you, when Mike Houston turns this team around officially, he's doing it now. But when you see it on the wins on Saturday and all the points, the one thing that I'm really happy about is being your offensive guy. There's going to be a lot of points scored this year. Video game numbers points scored with the offense we have now. I'm telling you, you think I'm crazy, but I know you think I'm crazy. But what do you think, Bubba? You're a quarterback. Don't you think there's going to be a lot of points scored this year?
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of potential for the Pirate offense. But a guy that I know Mitchell would really appreciate is Tyler Sneed out of the Raleigh area. And Tyler Sneed, he had that one game last year where he had 20-plus receptions down at SMU and led the team in receptions. I think 65 or 70 catches, something like that, as a redshirt freshman. And so very excited to have that young man 3 more years, just like C.J. Johnson, and then also a couple more with Blake Kroll, and have some guys behind them that are very talented as well.
Definitely, I like to say, it's not coming. It's going to be very interesting. I think that, like you say, we might take a lump here or there, but I can promise you, this group that Coach Houston has, they're going to come to play. They're going to come to play hard, and it's only a matter of time before, like you say, those wins or that class. The classes that are coming in now are going to make a name for Pirate Nation, and of course, we're going to be known all over that. Well, number one, we should already be in. But we should already be in the ACC or some other conference. That's okay. We'll take it where we can get it. Wherever we can play, that's where we'll play. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Let's just keep the Pirate Nation rolling, and let's get the balls going, and let's just everybody just kind of pray for a vaccine or get this pandemic out the way, so we can get back to some good football, some good Saturday tailgating, and some good action.
No doubt with that.
Last night, Mitch, we were talking to one of your teammates for 4 out of your 5 seasons, Jason Nichols, and when we were talking to Jason, we were just talking about yourself. In addition to the two of you, Larry, Troy Smith there at the tail end of your career, just so many talented receivers, and the way the ball was spread around, you saw guys with 30 to 50 catches, not one guy, with 110 or 120 receptions.
Correct. And I'd say the best thing about that at that time, you had a quarterback in Marcus Crandell that says, look, I understand what's going on in this play, and I'm going to make the best play. The ball had to go to X. It went to X, which was Larry, of course, at that time, Z, which was Jason, and of course I was their H-back. But we made the best play. He made the best play. And it was good. It's good to share the ball around and not, of course, get envious or jealous of anything. We wanted to win. Whatever, at what cost, that's what we wanted to do. Because at the end of the day, the stats really didn't matter. The only stat that mattered was that W. That's the only stat that mattered to us. And so, like you say, just the ball just moving around, passed around and so forth. And then, of course, you have to run the ball. We had, of course, Junior Smith, Scott Harley, Jarris McPhail, and a couple other guys, Damon Wilson, a lot of other Eric Blank, a lot of those guys that, could run the ball, could really, really tote that rock. So, they got to get their touches too. And you just got to understand the dynamics of the game. Our biggest thing as a wide receiver, we wanted to block. We wanted to block because the more times we put a defensive back or linebacker on their butt, on their behind, that was a big plus for us. That's what we want to do. We want to be known, and I'm not sure if Jason ever told you this, but we were known, or we nicknamed ourselves the Assassins. If you remember this, Syracuse had a defensive back. I can't remember his name, but he was called the Train Killer. That was his nickname. So Doug Martin came in, and he came in. He says, "Look, they got the Train Killer over there. Well, I'm going to nickname you guys the Assassins. You know what? Because y'all gonna assassinate. You're gonna hurt him, basically." And so anytime we see each other, that's what we call each other, Assassin 85, Assassin 80, or 82, or what number one. And it's 20. It was just, it's a good thing. Now that's the bond that you build. And I'm just, like I said, I was thankful and blessed to be around those guys and their talents, because they made me better, and I hope that I made them better as well, not only as a player but also as a person.
You know, Mitchell, the very thing that you were talking about, the with all the people, running back, and as far as the offensive side of the ball, when you look at wide receiver, and we're known as wide receiver U, which it starts all the way back with you guys. I mean, I could go on and on, but it's cool now when you see Coach Houston. Another thing that I love about him, and I know it's a love fest on Coach Houston, but he's building the program, and the depth that he has at wide receiver, the depth that if you look at running back, quarterback, I mean, all those rooms. I don't even, Bubba, is there any way that we could social distance? There's so many guys in the room now, where before we didn't have, we could social distance, but now, I mean, running back, there's like seems like 5-6 guys. There's a whole bunch of wide receivers. The guys, I tell you what, watch out for those D-line. Those guys are young, but once they get the experience, and then Coach Tesh moved from special teams, and now he's, I know, helping with the D-line, and they're putting, as Coach Houston was talking about, putting a whole bunch of fresh bodies in there over and over again. And I think that's been one of the things we've had missing, is that we had talent. We just didn't have a lot of guys to add to the first string. We had the first string, and that's seemed about, what do you think, Bubba? That seemed about it on D-line.
Yeah, we've certainly built a lot of depth, and now we just got to get those guys some experience and coached up. And we have numbers, at least. When I say depth, and it's not that proven depth, but we have 85 scholarship players, which is something we haven't had in several years. That shows you where the roster has been. But this staff has done a tremendous job of building it back up.
No question about it. And the one good thing, Mitchell, with when it comes to, if we do have a season, that's one of the things that people keep talking about, quarterback, and they say we have too many quarterbacks. And I said, there's no such thing as having too many wide receivers, too many running backs, quarterbacks. I mean, what sport are we talking about? We're talking about football. And so when people will say that we have too many quarterbacks, I was like, I love Holden, and I'm not anti-Holden. I'm just saying that you don't know, with COVID right now and injuries and all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, look what we've gone through right now with this season prior to football that we've already done to. Now we're in the we're almost in the fall pretty much, and we've already, it seems like it's been 2 or 3 years, and it's only been we're only in the 8th month of the year. So we need to have, don't you think we need to have as many bodies as possible right now?
Absolutely. Like you said, with everything that's going on, there are going to be some players that may not participate, that may not want to play, due to their own reasons and so forth. So you want to have as many able bodies as possible, and trying to get everybody on the same page from that standpoint, because you just never know. You just never know what's going to happen. You just never know what's going to, the turn of things, how things are going to go from that standpoint. And we'll be coached up right. We'll get the bodies in there, and we'll rotate them in as much as the case may be. Like I said, you can never have too many quarterbacks.
I want to ask you, Mitch, as far as back in that time, Kyle Barber chiming and crushing me. Back of those days, I'm not anti-Holden. I'm a huge fan. In fact, his dad, by the way, is going to be with us tomorrow night. I've known his dad for a long time. I'm a huge fan of he and Holden. But anyway, I wanted to ask you, you played in some big time stadiums. I could start naming all of them, but this is your show, not mine. What is there some favorite stadiums you played in? Because during the 90s, man, we played in some big boy stadiums.
Right. Well, I can tell you that the first one that comes to mind is Tennessee, when we went to play Tennessee and Peyton Manning. And I think at that time they had close to 90 or 91,000 fans at that time. And it was deafening. The noise was just deafening. You couldn't hear anything. That was huge for us. And just, kind of think of some other things. I love to go to West Virginia. Those fans were very rowdy. They were right on top of you, so to speak. And so you can kind of interact with them a little bit and have a little fun. But like you say, we played some big boy teams, and we weren't scared of them. We thought that we had just enough talent. And as Coach Logan said, my thing was, I told him, look, I don't care if we have 10 away games. course, that'll be bad for our fans. But look, we will play anywhere. It doesn't matter where we play. Let's just go play ball. Like I say, if it's in the stadium, it's in the parking lot. It could be in a swimming pool. It could be on the beach. It didn't matter where it was. As long as that pigskin was put down, East Carolina was playing football.
No question about it. And that mentality, in the 80s, when I became a Pirate fan in 1986, the motto is we're going after the best for that very thing, being independent. And you were at the tail end of the independent era there for folks that don't know, that are new to Pirate Nation or don't know the history. From 77 to 97, right before that, we were about a 20-year period where we're independent. And for that very reason, a lot of people watching the show already know that. But for the folks that don't know, you were at the very end of that independent era. So we were going playing big time games because we really didn't have a choice at that particular time because we were not in the conference.
That's right. Being an independent, and of course, as you stated, I can't remember the exact team that we were playing. I like to say it was Southern Mississippi, but I remember the football player coming on, and he had a little thing. He said, "Welcome to Easy, EASYU, Easy U instead of ECU." And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I just can't wait till we get down there so we can just rub it and just rub him in his face. But they used to pick on East Carolina because I still hear some guys now tell me, you guys are not even the best school in North Carolina. I said, let me correct you there. Let's let them put us on the schedule and we'll see and find out. They always tell me that. But I can tell you this, there are no better fans, there are no better players than the ones that we got right there in Greenville and all around the world that support our team. Because whenever you see East Carolina and they go to any type of event or bowl game, we are well represented, which is why I can't see why that 8-3 team, which you spoke of, why we didn't get a bowl game. We would have filled the stands that year. But, lo and behold, things happen for a reason. And, it's just something that we can look back on and say, you know what, we had a great year. We had a good year.
Well, right now, if we can play again, if you're just joining us, if we can play, and I haven't, see our good friend Kyle Barber, I heard the stat this morning on the ACC show, Packer and Durham. They were talking about there's only 77 schools playing as of right now and 84 slots. So, I mean, I would have to think that if you get 5-6 wins, 5 definitely, I think you got a good shot of getting to a bowl. So if we can find some way to keep this season live, I'm going to stay until I'm told differently. Mitchell, I'm positive. I think that I thank God, the American, we have a great commissioner who hasn't folded just yet. And I'm praying that our presidents and our chancellors, please give us football, especially for one of our co-hosts is not here tonight, Kyle Barber. I don't know what's going to happen if there's not college football. I'm very worried. And furthermore, Mitchell, another thing that comes to mind is the financial piece of things. When you have a situation right now, when you look at Pirate football, not only is it great for ECU, but look at Greenville. The community is a few $1 million for a home game. Those hotels, restaurants, any kind of stores, like University Book Exchange, UBE comes to mind. There's a whole bunch of stores that rely. The student store, we've got a beautiful student center now on 10th Street. That's awesome. Great student store. They would be making money. So just think about before these leaders make decisions, there's a lot of money. And that's a big deal. Just like with the very fact I'm praying with that. I don't know, Bubba, did you hear about this? There was a party last night. I think you sent me that, and a lot of people have been talking about it today, Mitchell. Back in our day in the 90s, but it's a different era now. But 400 people at a party, and they had to shut it down last night in Greenville. We got to be smarter than that. That's the quickest way that we won't have college football is if the campus is not open. So please, please, please save that for after the season or the bowls or something by then when we have more time. But that's a very scary thing to hear 400 people together. And it's happening, as someone that knows this firsthand, it's happening to younger folks. It's not our age group, Mitch.
Right.
Older folks, my parents' generation, we've done a nice job of staying home and social distancing and the like. But the young folks, y'all got to get it together. And I'm not one of these like old men kind of guys that say that we're better than y'all, but we're doing our part. But the 20-somethings, y'all got to get it together. Come on. You know you can't have 400 people at a party. I'm sure they're not wearing a mask at a kegger. I mean,
I'm sure. I'm sure they're not wearing a mask, and I'm sure that they're not 6 feet apart. I can almost guarantee that. But like I said, we're going to continue to pray. And uh, missing college football in Greenville, it would be something different. But I think that for the most part, the biggest thing, like you said, is to keep everybody safe, keep everybody alive, and football will go on. But at the same point in time, you want to make sure that you take care of all the things financially. I just hope and pray that we don't lose any more sports. As I'm told that we lost 4. That's a big difference for me, and big difference for our community, our Greenville community, because you never want to lose anything with those athletes. They come there for a reason too. They come to compete and do some things to better their lives and situations. So we just hope and pray that these young folk, Bubba's a little younger than us, of course.
Yeah, he was in diapers when you were playing there, Mitch.
But we just hope that
Mitch's senior year in that '96 game against NC State. That season, I was 15. I was my freshman year of high school.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got a chance to see, like you say, the rain and all the good stuff in that era, that stadium, that time. That was a good game for us too, by the way.
I'm ready to see some rings on the fingers of these big rings that we're getting now. Before we let you go, I want to ask you about because you've been generous with your time, and I'm looking at the time, and I don't want to keep you, but I could talk to you all night. This has been fantastic.
Absolutely.
Talk about some their memories of the bowl games with swag, like as far as what did y'all get back in those Liberty Bowls? Do you remember anything that you got where they were cool in Memphis?
Well, I can tell you this: the first Liberty Bowl game that we went to, I don't think they quite expected us to get there, only because our winning the attire that we got was blue. I'm not sure if they intended for Memphis or another team to be there, but our attire that we got after the fact was blue. Now I'm not saying who did what, but of course, it was just an outfit that we got. We took it and we accepted it from that standpoint. And that could have been the official colors. It may have not. I'm not sure. But just playing in those games, and like I said, the bowl game was just icing on the cake. We got a ring, which I still have to this day. As a matter of fact, I proposed to my wife with that ring, and she just fell in love with it. But then, of course, initially I bought her, an engagement ring and so forth. But when I proposed to her with my Liberty Bowl ring, and
it's awesome.
She took it from me as though that meant that much to you, that you would give it to me, and so that for me showing my love for her in that sense, and so it's a good thing. Whenever you get to those different bowl games and so forth, you get those kind of things, and you get the little travel checks and so forth, but it's good. I mean, it's just experience. You want to get as much experience, and you want to kind of build on that so that you can kind of show the other guys or the younger guys, look, this is where we are, this is where we've been, this is where we want to go, and we don't want to take no steps back. If we do, we're going to take a half a step, but we're going to take a leap forward, and that's going to be the bottom line.
The time has gone by very fast, and I appreciate you're a lot of fun. And I tell you what, we're gonna have a football season, and we definitely will. We hope that you'll come back during football season and hang out with us, because I'll tell you what, I want to see a lot of victories, and we got to be just to surround ourselves with a lot of winners. We need to have all the winners of Pirate Nation to come on, and then that way we'll find a way, a way or something to get these W's back and get more wins in the win column than we've had recently. But I know that you said that you're coaching obviously there, and hopefully, hey, if there's anybody in Greenville, this guy right here, we need him closer to Greenville.
Absolutely.
We'd love to have him back. There's a lot of guys coaching. There's Pirates actually right now coaching at Rose and different places, and certainly Epps we've had on. So I tell you what, very excited to have you on tonight, and we're going to definitely pray hard that we can get you back to Greenville, to North Carolina. You're always in Pirate Nation anyway. And I want to personally thank you for giving me and a lot of 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids at the time a lot of fun, a lot of fun. Those are some of the best years of your life. You always hear that, but it's the God's honest truth. And I appreciate you making that happen. And thank you for all your blood, sweat, and tears for Pirate Nation. And I look forward to now it's up to us to create more memories. We'll have more in the future, right?
Absolutely, Dave and Bubba. I really appreciate you guys, man. It's just an honor to be on the 50 Pirates in 50 days, to be recognized as one of those pirates. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you guys for everything you've done and you continue to do.
Absolutely. Like Dave said, we appreciate it, Mitch. And Norman, quick, get your boy a job.
Norman, you know where to find me. You know you got my number, Norman. Give me a call.
All right, Mitch. Thanks, man. Have a good night, brother.
Thank you, guys. You guys do the same.
Enjoyed it. 50 Pirates in 50 days. Love that guy. That is, I tell you what, Bubba, that just fires me up. This series. I know that, by the way, before we go, I want to give you a shout out for all your hard work. I know that there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. People don't know that, believe it or not, maybe sometimes it doesn't look like we're prepared, but we work very hard. Just asking our families, our children, wives, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, children, all that. And I just
great grandparents.
Exactly. There are a lot of people that put up with us to do this show, but we feel it's very important. And 50 Pirates in 50 days is very special to us. I know, Bubba, you want to do it last year. It's very ambitious. Thank you, Norman, for I know that, and Kevin Roller, nice to meet you here on Facebook Live and on YouTube. And Bubba, it's just so exciting. After, what's great is that I'm getting ready to go to bed soon. I'm going to try to sleep tonight. But when you have a guy like that won a lot of games, it was great to see him on. And it makes you know that we actually none of us have a brother. Okay, well, you know what I'm talking about, Kyle. So anyway, we have the very fact of that it just gives you hope. And that's what we have right now, that Mike Houston's going to get it done. And you think about all those great Pirate victories, we're going to continue to have them. Bubba, before we go, we've got a lot of great programming coming up. I know 50 Pirates in 50 days will continue. And tomorrow night, we have a rock solid, ginormous show. That's my adjective I'm going to use. Ginormous show for Kyle from the Grange Barber, who's on location somewhere. He's on assignment, apparently. And so we want to give him a shout out for sure, and definitely on our Facebook page. So Bubba, take it away for what we've got coming up.
Yeah, Dave, tomorrow night we'll be catching up with Morgan Ehlers, obviously the father of Holton Ehlers, East Carolina quarterback. And then Morgan's been the PA announcer for East Carolina men's basketball and football for a long time now. I think I want to say it's maybe 03, 04, somewhere in there, maybe 04.
He took over in the middle of the 04 season, and I know that firsthand. And I tell you one thing, if by the way, I was going to mention this tomorrow night, but if you're wondering where that whole term of "arg" came from, that was Morgan Ehlers, and he kept the John Seymour call First Down Pirates. He kept that going, and just a great guy. He's tremendous talent. He's a really nice guy, and I've known him since 1996. It's hard to believe, 24 years. And Morgan's a great guy, and I could go on and on about him, but you'll find out tomorrow night how great he is. And for some of you that listen to Pirate Radio and have been around Greenville, you know how great Morgan is, Captain Morgan. And you can drink some Captain Morgan and watch Captain Morgan tomorrow night, Bubba.
And then the second part of the 7 o'clock hour tomorrow night, and there may be a little bit of overlap, we'll have on Mike Mullis. Look forward to having Mully back. The last time we had him on, I guess, was maybe early to mid-April. A lot of great things going on with him, not only for Fixed NC, but more specifically on the sports side of things with 5-Star Virtual. So we'll talk about that and talk about everything going on in the sports world with Mike Mullis. And then on Friday night, we'll continue on with 50 Pirates in 50 days. And that's the next one we have scheduled. Not that one may not pop up before then, but at the very least on Friday night at 8 o'clock, we will catch up with former East Carolina lineman Ty Hunt, who is out of the Hickory area, and I believe he's down in the Atlanta area as well now, like Mitchell Galloway. So look forward to catching up with Ty Hunt on Friday. Also tomorrow, like you referenced earlier in the show, Dave, we'll have our East Carolina football practice report. Tonight's practice was broken up because of lightning, and like you said, Tom McClellan did the right thing and didn't keep the media waiting. So we'll have a chance to talk about today's practice, tomorrow's practice, and then also ask questions about Friday's scrimmage, which will, of course, be the second scrimmage of camp.
Yeah, and there's can I tell a quick story? I've never shared this on the podcast before.
Yeah, I'll give you permission.
Okay, all right. Just wondering because I really want to. I know I don't want to bore people, but Kyle put a question up. Who was the clown between Morgan and Seymour? So what happened is I got the opportunity, and I'm very. In fact, I auditioned with one of our former guests, Lee Workman. For the reason I know it was 2004 is I was asked to try out for that position. I didn't get it, but I'm honored that I was asked to be in the mix of that potentially to get it. But the right guy eventually got it in 2004, and that's Morgan Ehlers. So I'm happy that he has the job. But that was just a huge honor that they would ask me at ECU to come over and try out, and to try out for somebody that I think a lot of Lee Workman that we had on a week ago or so. It was a huge honor. So I do know it was 2004 because I was up and running for the job. So just a huge honor to have that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, folks, enough about me. Thank you to Mitchell Galloway, 50 Pirates in 50 Days. Huge honor. We'll have a lot more of those. If you have an idea for a show, you can obviously email us, and that will be TBJ. Now listen to me. That's the Triangle Business Journal. The Sports OBJ, I'm getting tired, at gmail.com. You can email us at that. You can find us all the way over everywhere on social media. And of course, you can listen to us anywhere on your favorite podcast and Facebook Live. We archive them on our Facebook page and archives on our YouTube channel as well. All right. For Bubba Rosenbaum and obviously Mitchell Galloway, I'm Dave Richmond. Thanks for watching 50 Pirates and 50 Days on the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody, and go Pirates.